Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. And a good dresser, too. Here he is, Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. Mike, I assume that Jets owner Woody Johnson watches our show, because just last week you were saying that that trip to London for the New York Jets was make or break for Robert Saleh. Now look what happens. They fire Robert Saleh on Wednesday. Why was it the time to fire Robert Saleh? On Tuesday, rather.
In Woody Johnson's mind, the time was now, because he still feels like this is a talented roster. And he spoke to reporters on Tuesday regarding his decision-making. So he feels like he's still got the most talented roster he feels like he's ever had. And he wants to try to get ahead of this and get to the point where they can put themselves in playoff position, which they are not now. However, if they beat the Bills on Monday, they're in a share of first place in the AFC East. So Robert Saleh might look at it and say, I was one win away from being right back in the driver's seat in the AFC East. I know what else he would say, by the way. He would say, in my 56 games as head coach of the New York Jets, I had a legitimate quarterback for 5 games and another game where I had him for 4 snaps. So I know that he felt shocked by this. I was surprised by the timing. You cannot overstate the fact that this happened after a game in London where Woody Johnson used to be the ambassador to the United States, had friends at the game, certainly was not pleased with the performance there in front of his friends. I think that was a big factor. But for Johnson now to make the move to Jeff Ulbrich and say that he feels like it's going to inject energy in the team, this is a life comes at you fast type situation in the NFL, because as head coaching candidates go, I don't know that we talked about energy with anybody more than we did with Robert Saleh when he was a defensive coordinator for the 49ers and a hot head coaching candidate. The fact that he's now a head coach, and I think at times was trying to keep his emotions in check, because as a head coach, you got to maybe act differently than when you're a defensive coordinator. But at times he looked beaten down by this job, or beaten down to me by the fact that he just didn't have the quarterback that he needed. Finally gets it, and it's short-lived. So I do feel a little bit for Robert Saleh here. But I am looking forward to seeing what Jeff Ulbrich can do. He is highly thought of inside that building, certainly by the defensive players. And he had a chance to become a head coach at the Senior Bowl this year. He was a coach for one of the teams for the entire week. Gave him at least a little bit of experience, although I think this one's going to be a little different as head coach of the Jets, replacing Robert Saleh with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
And, speaking of Aaron Rodgers, now Woody Johnson, we just heard him. He said, this is my decision and my decision alone. The owner made the decision.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem likely. I mean, come on, he had to have consulted with Aaron Rodgers at some point. He said he talked to him on the phone the day before.
He did. He said he talked to him the night before, and Robert Saleh did not come up, which is malpractice as an owner if you're going to have the quarterback on the phone talking to him at length about multiple things, and then the next day make this decision without consulting him. So, yeah, I'm a little skeptical on this one, Jay, as well. I look forward to hearing what Rodgers, he's going to talk on Wednesday as part of the Pat McAfee show, perhaps with the media as well. I don't know what their schedule is, but I look forward to hearing what he has to say. Now, the other part of the Rodgers thing is Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator. We know what Rodgers thinks of Hackett. We know the Jets hired Hackett in large part because they wanted to lure Rodgers to the Jets. Remember, that happened before they made the trade for Rodgers. So the changes for this team really need to be made on the offensive side of the ball. And Ulbrich spoke to the media on Tuesday and indicated that everything is up for evaluation. Todd Downing, a former offensive coordinator, could take over play calling. I just don't know how that's going to sit with Rodgers. So there's a lot of factors at play on the offensive side of the ball, and I'm really curious to see how it's going to play out over the next couple days.
Okay, 2 quarterback changes were made on Tuesday, Mike, and they were under very different circumstances. We're going to start with the New England Patriots. They're going to officially make the move to their top draft pick, Drake Maye. He'll get the start against the Houston Texans this weekend. Bit of a trial by fire for Drake Maye, isn't it, Mike?
It's going to be, and that's why they wanted to hold off on this as long as possible. But he played well in the preseason. He played well in a short appearance against the Jets, which honestly, the one question that I had about the Patriots and how they've handled it, why did they let him finish that drive? They didn't call timeouts there. They just wanted to get out without any injuries. He was moving the ball. I thought he could really get some good vibes going by finishing that drive, but he played well on that drive anyway there at the end of the game, and he's done well in practice. He's done well in meeting rooms, so the Patriots said, you know what, at this point, is this team going to get any better? I mean, part of the reason they started with Jacoby Brissett is they didn't want to have that trial by fire immediately for Drake Maye out of the gate. But at this point, you're looking at it and say, what are we going to do? Just have him sit the entire season? We can't just do that. So now they get him in there. Yeah, it's going to be rough at times, but you know what? Some growing pains may be okay for him. I covered Eli Manning. He had growing pains, and then he flourished in his second year. We saw what Peyton Manning did his rookie year as far as the number of interceptions that he threw, and then he began to flourish. Sometimes when you draft a quarterback, you go, you know what? We need to know if anything's going to be able to break him, and they're going to find out, the Patriots are, right away, whether it's going to break Drake Maye. I don't think it will. I like his mental makeup. I like his toughness. I like his smarts. I think he's going to do okay.
All right, and then the New Orleans Saints have announced that injury to Derek Carr and the Monday night loss to the Chiefs is an oblique injury, and he'll miss some time.
Yeah.
Here's the question. Could his replacement this weekend come from someone who wasn't even in a Saints uniform on Monday night?
How about Spencer Rattler, the fifth-round rookie who did well in the preseason, had a lot of folks excited, and had some people thinking maybe he should be the primary backup. Well, my understanding, and Ian Rappaport, my colleague at NFL Network, and I have reported that Carr is expected to miss multiple games, and the reason we say that is the Saints have 2 games in 9 days. They've got a Sunday game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then turn around quickly and play the Denver Broncos. You've got an injury like Derek Carr has. It's going to hamper his ability to function, and it's going to hurt. And so for him to get ramped up and play on Sunday potentially, which, by the way, he is going to fight. I talked to people close to Carr, and they said he is not going to give up hope that he could possibly get himself ready for Sunday. So we will keep the door at least slightly open for that. But my understanding is the Saints are approaching this as if he will not be available for either of those games. And so it becomes Rattler who steps in and is expected to be the guy, at least from my understanding, if Carr is out. So it's sort of exciting. He played well in the preseason. I know his college career was a little bit up and down at Oklahoma and South Carolina, but the expectation is that if he gets in there, he can get some of that magic that he had in the preseason and translate it to the regular season. We'll see. 2 tough defensive minds he's going to face. Todd Bowles, followed by Vance Joseph, if indeed he is the starter for these next 2 games.
And when Spencer Rattler came out of high school, such a highly touted prospect into college, and as you said, it was a tumultuous college career. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does in the pros. Mike, if you don't mind, I want to throw one more quarterback question at you, because after that Steelers loss to the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, I asked Luke Wilson, our NFL analyst, if he thought it might be time for his former teammate Russell Wilson to step in under center for the silver and or the black and yellow. Do you think it happens this weekend, Mike?
I don't think, well, it could happen in game depending on how Justin Fields plays, but Justin Fields is going to be the starter. But he's on notice. This competition that we expected to happen in training camp is now going to happen in season. He has to make some, I think, more dynamic plays. He has to continue to not make mistakes. Sometimes you try to make those dynamic plays, you make mistakes and turnovers. He can't have that. But I think if you see the Justin Fields we saw in the second half against the Colts, where he really led them back into that game, he'll continue to hold this job. If not, he's on notice. Russell Wilson going to practice fully right behind him, and I think Mike Tomlin wouldn't hesitate to make the move if he sees Justin Fields start to slip here.
Mike, before I let you go, want to wish you very good luck to you and your Philadelphia Flyers this season. They're opening the season Friday in Vancouver against the Canucks. Have you ordered your Matvei Michkov Flyers jersey yet, Mike?
I'm more of a Jersey guy these days, just because you just never know and you don't want to put that much out there. So I got to get on my Jersey order for the Calder Trophy winner, I hope, this upcoming season. And I'm looking at some of the projections and predictions. Nobody's got these guys in the playoffs. I didn't last year. They should have been in if they didn't fold at the end. So I got high expectations for these guys because everybody else has such low expectations. I think they're remembering how they stumbled down the stretch. They should be a better team this time around. If not, get that guy out of here. You know.
Yeah, we know which guy you're talking about. Mike Garafolo, he's the guy who joins us every week from the NFL Network. Thanks, Mike.